a phenomenal level of risk, which is exaggerated. That's number one. Number two is that to be able to access capital for development with that assessment of risk means that if you go to the markets, you get 5 times, if you're lucky, 6 times, maybe 7 times.
But this is the thing, but this unbankable project, this whole thing of Africa not having bankable projects has been an age-old issue, and the fact that, you know, the perceptions of risk are still too high, but that doesn't coincide with the climate emergency that's playing out. There is a disconnect. The money needs to now flow in. The commitments that everyone's flowing around and saying, look, we're committing, is not becoming reality, but we're running out of time. So how do we convince the guys with the money to come to Africa and not be unreasonable about the returns that they're expecting?
It is the reason why, for example, we had the Africa Climate Summit, so that we can profile the assets that the continent has. Whether it is mineral assets, whether it's our renewable energy assets, whether it's our carbon sinks, whether it's our human capital. 40% of the world's workforce by 2100 will be living in Africa. 25% of the world population and market will be in Africa by 2050. And therefore, any development, any investment that doesn't bring Africa into the equation is deficient. Yeah. And therefore, the reason why we had the Africa Climate Summit, the first ever, is because we realized that we are in this space. Nobody knows what the assets are in Africa. We have all this negative profile. Africa is a risky continent. It's a continent of conflict. It's a continent of this. But we are re-engineering the profile of Africa so that people can see Africa for what it is. Yeah. The continent of opportunity, where we have a young median age of 19, innovative, creative, hardworking, educated. In Kenya, for example, I spent $5 billion this year in the education of our young people, from primary school to university. We have tremendous resources in Africa. The world would do itself a favor by tapping into these assets and driving positive growth using the renewable energy assets that we have, using our own minerals that we have, and using our human capital that is ready, creative, and innovative.
And so well said. I mean, the human capital element and the resource, that is Africa's true gem. Look, whether we like it or not, whether anyone in this room likes it or not, Africa is going to industrialize. Africa is on an aggressive path of industrialization. And that means processing commodities that we normally export. It means a bigger automotive sector. That means bigger carbon emissions because we need more energy for it. And no matter which way you look at this equation, Africa has been finding oil and gas reserves, and many countries are